I'm back again. I guess I'll have to start all over again today, August 21st, 2017. Greetings, everyone. Today is a very significant day. This is the... Oh my gosh, the thing slipped out again. This is the solar eclipse day, and it's a frequency. And it's important for me to be here to explain and to talk about what's going on. And I'd also like to get feedback from anyone as far as what you might be experiencing, and to also to talk about what's happening, to understand what is happening. It's not just, oh, I'm looking in the sky as far as what occurred wherever you are located on the earth, and things that happen to do with the eclipse today, because it's an energy, and it's also a new moon. It's a new moon today, and this new moon is in Virgo. I'm not an astrologist, but I am here to talk about things, Hi, Danielle, lovely. Thank you for joining me. Fernando, Justin, Erica, sending you lots of love. I'd like to get feedback from anyone. What have you been experiencing? As I will talk. So anyway, today is the eclipse, and the eclipse is more than just looking at just the moon that is covering up the sun. This is also what represents as far as ourselves, because I was not even able to go outside to even do anything, because I had to stay inside, and I was really clearing out and tuning into what messages I was receiving from the divine, what was happening today. I'm back. I was having some Wi-Fi issues, but I'm not going to let that stop me. No, I'm not. I'm going to deliver the messages that I'm to send. If I would love to hear from anyone what you've also been experiencing. Just give me one moment. I got to get my hotspot on them, because the Wi-Fi is starting up. Okay, I'm back. I put on the hotspot. It's getting hot here too as well. Literally temperatures, but also hot inside, because when I say an internal heat is going on, and I know, I can feel everyone is experiencing something to do with this eclipse, whether you are unconscious or conscious about it. See, I got my new pendant, moon pendant, okay? I don't know if anybody pays attention to the other pendant I have, was a circular motion, and it popped yesterday, or day before yesterday, and I said, oh my, I have to get a new one, not even aware of what was happening, because Spirit guided me to go and get it. And so what this does, because back in those days, if you say what days, we're talking about all those other lifetimes, there was different energies and frequencies that tried to stop us from what brought us and elevated us and keep us into balance. So that's why when you see me posting things to do with what it means to bring up the feminine, the divine feminine, it's an energy. And those who are in the female bodies, you could even be in a male body and have this feminine energy and bring out the goddess in you, because when we keep and bring these things into balance, it is necessary. So the solar eclipse today is a representation. Please, if anybody has any questions, please share any thoughts, anything what you've been experiencing, because we don't know what can possibly assist someone else with what they're going through as well, okay? And so the solar eclipse was a representation of the moon. It was an actual physical thing where the moon covered partially or completely the sun. The sun represents the masculine part, and the moon represents the feminine. And what it does is like a shadow. The shadow is coming up to the surface. It's coming out. So everything that we have, that we've been feeling inside, not just in this lifetime, but other lifetimes as well. And so a lot of things that were coming up for me was abandonment issues, also rejection. There was also stuff that I'd been feeling and purging and clearing. And so all of this stuff was not only happening for me, but also with others, because a lot of stuff that was showing to me is we are in the biblical times still. We're still in the biblical times. And what it represents is that beginning of time where it was called the fall of mankind, fall from grace, going into lower consciousness, okay, lower energies, lower feelings, lower thoughts. And the energies that was clearing out through me, what was happening, and also for anything in the collective. And when I say the collective, that means we're talking about the collective consciousness, because we're all one and the same. And we have carried these energies for such a long time. And so whatever was in the dark, they say whatever's in the dark must come to light. And I'm not talking about evil. I'm talking about all the things that we have kept inside. all the things that we've kept inside emotionally, mentally, things that we've experienced in past lives. And some of the things that came up that I want to talk about is to start out with the feminine energy and what we have carried with ourselves in terms of certain frequencies that has seeped into our relationships. And one of the things had to do with separation, because during that time, in the beginning of time, before things started to get chaotic, there were some who turned away from the light and they wanted to be in control and power. And that control and power was stemming from those who wanted to use their bodies, including their sex organs. You know, when some females, they choose to wanted to turn to using their vagina to get what they want when it comes to the males, and then the males had a certain perception about the females, you see. And all these things is what's changing on the planet, is our view of ourselves and how we have, and really coming from a space of integrity with one another. There's also an energy as far as the suppression of the feminine, with her speaking and what she's to speak and what's coming from her thoughts and her feelings, okay, and speaking truth, being authentic, living authentically, okay. And there were times also where there was a masculine energy with wanting to have control over that too. So all of these things is what we're bringing into balance with ourselves, and also bringing into balance with our feminine aspects. So it's an internal thing. It's happening internally within ourselves. And anyone who's resistant to this energy, you're going to feel more pain and it'll be more chaotic. And I know that there's some of you who are facing and experiencing chaos, but you're looking at it like, oh, somebody doing something to me, or you know, I'm being punished, or, you know, because when I'm speaking my messages, I'm speaking it for those who are living consciously and unconsciously, those who are aware of their role on the planet and the shifts that are happening, and also for those who are seeing things happen in their lives, but they're just not understanding it. And I'm here. My mission is to help you to understand and to overstand it as well, because you could keep staying under and under and under, and sometimes you got to go over. You got to go over and go above and beyond what you think you might know, and to know that it goes beyond anything that was written in words, and also what you've been taught from your parents, and also from what's been happening in general. Because I even was clearing out, believe it or not, my mom is on the other side, for anyone who knows, and I was clearing out something that she experienced in her life when she was here in the physical world. So it's more to what meets the eye to what is happening here, okay? I would love for anyone to tell me what have they been experiencing during this eclipse, because I feel that it'll help others to also understand their journey. I was saying before, when no one was hearing me, I was playing this music in the background. It's a Jamaican song, and it's called Armageddon. I had a dream, okay, and I'm a dreamer. I will dream, and my dreams are prophetic, and I'll dream things to do with for the collective, my personal life, or anyone who's in my life. If I have the dream, that's how I receive the messages. So I have waking dreams, and I have sleeping dreams, where I'm sleeping and I wake up and I remember the dream because I was in a deep sleep. And that dream I had was that there was an Armageddon that took place on the earth, and that Armageddon itself was like an earthquake. It was like an earthquake. And I was driving and I went back home to be at home. And so Spirit reminded me of that dream, because the books that I have with dreams is like 5-6 books that I used to write down my dreams, and now I record them instead. And that dream in and of itself was something being shown to me that there is an Armageddon happen right now, okay? We have shifted out of the old energy, and it's still a process. It's still continuing. So if you're more consciously aware of that, you will realize that's what's happening, because all day today, I was getting messages that I was back in Egypt. I saw the mummy was on TV. I saw things to do with Egypt. So I knew that I was just bringing in everything that was happening in all these timelines, and I know I'm not the only one. And so part of what was happening is that anything that was occurring in that consciousness, because when we started out in peace, and we were with our divine counterparts, okay? And everything was in its purity. So we're still like bringing together the two parts of ourselves, the conscious and the subconscious, the light aspects of ourselves and the shadow. And that's why when I was saying, when nobody was hearing me, was that the moon, which represents the feminine, was covering the sun, that represents the masculine. And what it is, it doesn't mean we're getting rid of anything. What we're doing is we're integrating it, and we're collapsing what doesn't serve us, and we're bringing in what is to remain with us, that is for our highest and our best. And if you have resistance to it, it's going to persist, and that's why things will seem chaotic in your life. I spoke about the chaos theory in the book, where out of the chaos comes what? The calm. So I'm gonna look at the comments, so I don't want to miss anyone, because sometimes it just do understand if you send me a comment and if you don't hear me respond to it, just type it again, because I'm tuning in to what the Holy Spirit wants me to speak, and then I want to make sure that I discuss everything as much as possible, because Facebook gives you like an hour timing now with being on the Facebook Live. So Laurie said, a guy asked you today while I was walking if I want to buy his winning lottery. Oh wow. Yeah, see, that consciousness is another consciousness that's also dilapidating, is those people who try to be manipulating. And there are some teachers, light workers, with a twin flame or whatever category or label, that they're doing what they're doing just for the money. So that consciousness is now dissipating. And also there's some energies that come from females that like to compete with one another. We're all brothers and sisters here. And there is enough of everything to go around. So the consciousness of lack and limitation is also dissipating and dismantling, okay? And not competing and comparing ourselves to one another. And that we can share our gifts with each other without feeling like as if we have to have these jealous feelings and envy, or feel like, oh, I got to put myself up more in a category and get rid of somebody else that may try to steal my gifts or anything like that. All of that is a bunch of bullshit, okay? Because I'm going to say it real and so, because I went through that. I went through that jealous energy frequency from other people that were jealous of me for who I am. And I say, love yourself and be who you are. There is no need to compete, and there's enough of everything to go around, because you see, any of those type of energies and frequencies is what's dissipating. And there are more and more for all of you out there who know who you are in terms of what you're here for with your gifts, and you're aware of knowing about the timeline thing that's going on and the shift that is happening, that there are more people between now and the end of the year that are starting to become more and more awakened. And so what happened today, what was shown to me by Spirit, is that any of those frequencies of those who are back during the time of Atlantis, and some of them are twin souls. That's right, you heard me. I am speaking it out just like how it is, okay? And some of them turned away from the light. They turned away from it. Doesn't mean that I'm judging, but I'm just making observation here. And as they turned away from the light, there were some who followed them, and some of them want to have all of these type of, I guess, leadership role in how many people they can gather up and have follow them, and that's what their focus is on. Hi, Jessie, how are you, sweetie? I remember you, sending you lots of love. And what happened during that time is that there were some who turned away, including some of our divine counterparts that turned away. Some of you remember when we fled from the time of Atlantis, and we fled to Egypt, because I remember when I fled to Egypt. I remember when I was, not only just ridiculed, but tried to kill me, and the information, the knowledge that I had, and the ones who betrayed. So all these frequencies and energies of what we experience with that is not only are we shifting it out, but we're bringing in a new energy, a new timeline of how we are creating our reality and what we're co-creating. I know there's some of you who experience where you felt being attacked, and some of us are also dealing with our throat chakras, because as we're speaking about it, whatever feelings you have and what you're speaking about, bring it out into the open and speak it out and all of that stuff, because what you're doing is you're clearing that energy. Because remember, you've been walking with this energy and been with this energy each and every time that you have incarnated on the earth plane, okay? And once that energy comes in, and you recognize it for what it is, or if you don't, then speak to someone that you know that's not going to be judgmental, and they understand and know what is happening with these frequencies. There is no, hi cuz, you okay, how you doing, sweetie? There is no formula to this. There's no book to this, and it's really important to be in the moment. There is a YouTube segment that I posted on my YouTube channel. If some of you are not aware, I have a YouTube channel, Sharon Andrea. I had a Facebook Live in a group called the Higher Love Tribe, and this was with Candace. And she and I were one of the few back in that time where we were the ones that brought on information to do with the higher love and what it means, because I have shifted so much in a short amount of time, and it keeps on increasing for me. And so I know that I'm here for anyone who is having issues with understanding their path of the journey, no matter what it is, because we're here to awaken each other, okay? Each and every one of us. It doesn't matter what title or where you come from or what color your skin is, whatever. Even the ones that turn against you, they're here to awaken you too, to who you are, okay? And it's important to be, say it again, be authentic. Be authentic. If you know you're in a situation where you know it's not comfortable for you anymore, that means it's your sign to get out of Dodge. Get out of Dodge. If you don't get out of Dodge, get out of Dodge, the divine is doing it for you. And that's one of the purpose of what's happening with the solar eclipse. It's a full thing now. It's not, a part or a piece of this. It's the entire encompassing aspect to who you are. Things are just being ripped out of us, so we start again. It's like a new slate. It's just like if you have your computer and it's starting to crash and it's starting to break down. I try to hold on to mine too, over and over again. It's like, oh, I got to get the virus out. I got to get this out. But I knew that things were shifting within me, because remember, your electronic stuff, if you know your phone is acting up, time to get a new phone, because all of this is a representation of what's breaking down and what we are shifting. And as we are shifting, so are the electronic stuff and anything else that you have in your space. Recognize it for what it is and see the signs for what is being shown to you by spirit. Okay, so I'm going to get to anybody else's comments so I don't miss out anyone. Okay, okay, so I'm going to go to Ayuka. I saw yourself in your past life in Egypt. Oh, wow, incredible. Yes, we are definitely in Egypt. I had 6 lifetimes in Egypt, so everybody knows already 2 of them, that I've had. And one of the things that, these are especially for the twin souls, that one of the things that I had to release and work through, and not even, I wouldn't say release, but more accepting, just accepting how you feel. Accept how you feel. Accept how you feel. I was crying and purging and crying yesterday and releasing, and it had to do with the abandonment, feeling like I'm abandoned by my divine counterparts and having to do all the speaking. And a lot of what had happened to was shown to me is that some of the feminine that stayed back to help with things that were falling apart, there were some that turned away. And that's when the betrayals and the competition and all these things started to happen. And some of us had to flee. And I remember I had the past life memory of fleeing with documents and information. And there are certain teachers out there that have, brought out distorted information. So it's all that distorted energy is what is being released once and for all, because sometimes how it just repeats itself and it goes so deep. It's like now how spirit shows it to me. It's like we're at a point now where I won't say if it won't come back again, but what I'm saying is that it's going to feel easier for us. And that is for those who are facing it head on and recognizing what you are integrating, because we're integrating the shadow. Some of us, our shadow might be our twin, because a lot of them had turned away, and some of them were duped. Some of them were duped because how when you have people come into your life and they talk a good talk, they say what they think you want to hear, but in the meantime, there's things that are still happening in their space and their energy field. And the more you allow the veil to show itself through you, and you will see more of the mask start to fall off. So that happened today too. There were more people that reveal themselves to me, whether they were in contact with me or not, because I see through it all. I really do. You see, and nothing is hidden from me. And so the more you are staying in your power and remembering yourself, is the more it's going to keep returning to you, and you're going to start to see more masks fall off. And you can't be shocked. You know what I mean? You can't be shocked, because it is what it is. And this is a part of the process of how we are coming back to the way the earth was before. You see? That's what it is. And our bodies are going to keep changing and shifting. The sleeping patterns, all of this stuff is happening during this eclipse. And I don't remember if anyone heard me say, even though the eclipse date today, August 21st, I was already feeling the energies before today came in. It's a new moon in Virgo. And I was even saying and hearing from spirit that this is going to continue throughout the rest of the year. And more people are going to start to become awakened. And so those of us who are on their, when I say missions, I don't like to use the word mission, but on their path and their passion to what you are doing and representing for Mother Gaia, that whatever distorted energy that existed out there, you know, whatever groups you've been a part of, or whoever you have been, you know, working with, talking with, communing with, you know, whatever the case may be, and you pulled away, just know that all of that happened for its purpose, because it had to show itself. It had to show itself. And that's why when we are in the dark about things, okay, that means that's things that are hidden. The hidden things doesn't mean it's bad. It just is. Those hidden things is what, the more light quotance and light frequency is coming up more and more on the planet, and the more a lot of us are awakening and connecting to ourselves, our divinity, you know, where you don't go no more, what you don't do anymore, what you're shifting from, and all that stuff, is the more the darkness is going to rise. So see it for what it is. Go from that higher perspective first and recognize it, and knowing that it's a temporary passage, and it may come again, it may not come again, you know, because every time I try to ask spirit, well, okay, what more is coming? And it's just one day at a time, And that's why it's important to stay present, stay in the moment, stay in the now, pay attention to your syncs. Everyone, tell me, what syncs have you seen today? I want to share with you the syncs, but I'm going to go through some more comments and questions. Erica, you've been experiencing rejection. Unfriends also been shown that the people that were supposed to help completely turned on me. Yeah, that's what I had experienced before in the past, but I know that what I had experienced recently with someone who's, you know, I'm not going to label, but the ones that say that they're here to help also. And the frequency that was coming into my space was, I can get your man, and I can take your man. I can do it. You know, it was just very distorted, and I had to release it. And Spirit was showing it to me in a dream, based on being on an escalator and an elevator and going up and down in consciousness. And of course, I rose above it. You know, but I still honored how I was feeling, because I saw it for what it is. And as each time goes by, I was able to see more and more. And I say, oh, I see you for who you are. And so even if someone comes across with you with what you're experiencing, whether it's through your twin or whatever, know that you're still seeing it for what it is, and that it's a representation of not just your twin or that person, but the consciousness that has existed on the planet. And so as we are feeling it, especially as a divine feminine, and you know, the emotions that go with the rejection feelings and all that rejection consciousness, I speak on it as a consciousness, comes from those who choose not to want to hear the truth, or they're not willing to face themselves, or they're afraid of their true self. And so when you show up as your true self, they hide, and then they push you away. You see? That's how it comes across, and that's how Spirit is showing it to me. And so another thing too, I'm glad I read this too, is that a lot, as some of you pay attention to what your divine counterparts may say. And I say divine counterparts because some of us are on a journey as with twin flames, or twins. I prefer to say twin souls. Some of us is divine complement or a higher soulmate. And realize and pay attention to the shift that might be happening with them too, because from what I was seeing with Egypt so much today, and also a dream I had with someone that I had, I wouldn't say a relationship with him, but just something that I had with him, and he was coming across in dreams, but he was actually my twin when he was in another form. And so because I had that dream about him today, it was showing me something, that something was releasing, something was coming up to the surface. I wouldn't say just necessarily for healing, but more accepting, and also accepting who they are, accepting their roles on the earth. And it's just to hold, you know, space for them, but still focus on you two, and being able to heal through the rejection, but still honoring it at the same time. Like I said it to Candace, I said, look at it, how beautiful it is, that how many times that you've experienced the rejection, you know, and how it shows up in the energy itself, whether they blocked you or they said something to you or not, and how it made you feel. And it's because of where they have turned away from things from before, or not paid attention to it, or more focused on something else that had nothing to do with whatever it is that you might have said, but the perception of how we look at it and what they may or may not be doing, because they're not even thinking perhaps that they're rejecting you, but they're feeling something coming from you that they're not ready to understand, or it's also for you Erica and myself and all the others who experienced the rejection, to step in even more into our power, because the feminine, she has to come more fully into her power even before she will come together with her her masculine or feminine counterparts, whatever body that it holds, with that frequency. And the reason why it's important to know that, because we're not going to be having this shit happen all over. And I don't mean to label it as shit, but it is what it is, right? And we still put it in place for a reason. We had to forget ourselves so we can remember who we are. We caused ourselves to forget who we are so we can remember who we are. And so guess what? That veil is even more thinner today. That's the great news. It's even more thinner today. It's like more and more things are going to be revealed through dreams and waking moments, and knowing that the divine is going to have everything on purpose for you and for whoever's in your life into what's happening. And we're not responsible for anyone with how they may be perceived, but you're responsible for your perception and how you're healing and recognizing it for what it is, okay? And not even thinking that it's unfair. And yes, it can feel like it's unfair, and it definitely can feel like it sucks. And just you know, allow yourself to feel it. That's the best advice I could give to anyone. Allow yourself to feel what you feel. Honor your feelings and understand it too at the same time. So, yes, Laura, the competition frequency has been there, and, you know, no more. That's collapsed. That's it. You know, because anyone who feels that they have to compete, or they are going through, I call it, what is that word? I'm trying to figure out the word to use with that. Like an inferiority complex, you know, and there's something that they try to do with, you know, that manipulation, that manipulating energy to manipulate how they want things to be, or that, and there's no need for that, because we are in a period of what? Manifestation. There's enough of everything to go around. There is no need to compete. Do you see what I'm saying? I said to someone today, if the one thing I love knowing is that I've inspired someone today. I've inspired anyone today, especially females. We must rise in ourselves and our feelings and thoughts, how we look, how we feel. Do you know what I mean? I could have my whole space falling apart. And you know what? I still put on, I hope you all saw my story. I still put on my face. I put on my jewelry. I wear my hair up as high as I could. Get nails done if they're stale, whatever. Okay. I do that because why? Because it keeps me elevated. Because it's not only about how do we stay high in frequency as much as we can, because yes, we're going to have the polarity. Yes, because we're on the earth until everything starts to come to itself and is polarized as much as possible. This is what it is. So I talk and teach about this, and know that the religious structures, why do you think they had it in place to talk about jewelry? You're not supposed to wear jewelry. You cover up yourself. You don't wear makeup. Be natural. Because what does it do? It can also bring you down, but when you wear it, it sure brings me up. Why not do something that brings you up? Think for a moment about that. Taking nice warm baths and all that. These are the rituals that we did back in Egypt. We went by the water. We'd meet in circles. That's why, you know, the things that I do, I don't wonder anymore why do I do it, because it's within me. It's within my subconscious, and I know what lifts me up. I burn incense. I burn scented candles. Lifts up my spirit. I play music. I dance. Okay? I sing. You know, sometimes we could sing with the notes, sing with the words. Anything that you can do. You see? So, and it's important to keep that frequency up with yourself as much as possible, because, and we're not out to war either, okay? I'm not talking about a war here, because that war is really within yourself. This is about how we are just embracing how we feel with what we're experiencing, with our emotional body, our mental body, and then as we see it for what it is, and able to release it, whether you're talking to someone about it, whatever, write it out. Then when you write it out, burn it if you need to, record it if you need to, whatever you can do, you know, with that, that's what will serve you and help you to get through this time with these type of frequencies, because I will never sit here and tell you that it's easy. Sometimes it really feels fucked up. Sometimes I feel like, you know, you're crazy, but I know I'm not. And sometimes it does get to be depressing, and sometimes it does get to be wonderful, and sometimes you know, I was even crying and laughing, and then I laugh and I cry, and so I said, you know, it is what it is, but you will get through it, and the more you understand what is occurring, the better it is for you. Because like I said, that timeline that we have all had during that time of Atlantis, all those souls that turned away, or they had things distorted, or twisted things, and the egos, all of that is just dissipated. Also, Spirit says dissipated. Okay. And the more you know about that, the more you're like, and that's what this is. This is what's happening. And so we look at it now in this moment. Think and feel within yourself, what are you recreating? Because we're recreating right now. It's like when I said the computer is breaking down and all that stuff. Remember when, you couldn't hear me, I had to restart the phone. So there's a restart button that's taking place in your life. Doesn't matter whether or not it has come into its fruition as yet for you to see with your physical eye, because this is more about connecting to the feelings you have to what you're creating. No, maybe, sort of, perhaps. It's a knowing and it's a feeling. That feeling aspect is what's the strongest with your connection to the divine. I know a lot of you are having solar plexus activity because we're clearing out a lot of things. Clearing. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to pause for a bit. I'm going to read some more. Laura, we're channeling the same information sometimes, and that's a great sign. We are all aligned with this and believe that we're to help each other, not compete. Yes, because there's enough of abundance to go around in everything, in every aspect. If anybody ever know the things when me got, you just like, what? You know what I'm saying? I just don't stress over it. For what? And you know what? There are things that are happening in my life that is coming in abundance, and there's things that are leaving, and there's some coming and going, because that is how it was for us. We came out, we came in, we came out, and we came in. It's a travel that we've made. And now we're all traveling and in one place at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Because it's all in movement. It's all happening, whether you are or anybody else around you is aware. But it's important for you to be aware, for you to understand, put those pieces together, because that's why when I was on the earth plane in the beginning of time, as the beginning, and the fragmented pieces is what we're bringing together, all of the fragments of ourselves, and not just ourselves, but also in our family line. That's why most of our family members are leaving and our friends are leaving. There's a lot. Even today, I went to the bank just to get a question answered, and he told me this woman came in and her son hung himself, and then her mom passed away a week after. She was like distraught, and she was drinking and all that stuff. And I said, I understand. And I said, all of these things are happening. Everything or anything that's happening that feels chaotic and it's painful, it is to facilitate your awakening. And also those who cross over to the other side and transition, they're also assisting us with our awakening, and even what's awakening within themselves. It goes both ways. It's not just one way. Okay, so Yoki, I'm going to go to you. So why are you getting weird dreams? The latest one is last night. Okay, well, first of all, I don't know how much you want to talk about the dream, but to me, it makes me feel like you're processing out things that is to come out of the energy field with the family, because we're related, and there's a lot of dogma and fear and stuff that's purging out, especially because in Jamaica, they have so much of the superstitious stuff, and there's incest stuff that's clearing out. It's all these things. I'm even feeling it in my stomach, what you are feeling. Sometimes it make you feel like weird in your stomach, like I'm feeling like an anxiousness, with the dream when you wake up and trying to understand it. So a lot of times we're going to have even more and more dreams that we're purging and clearing out stuff, because when you're sleeping, we're processing also, and even when we're awake, he could be doing anything. It doesn't matter. The frequency and the codes and the shifts are happening internally as well. And each time as we keep shifting through things, then things are going to start to shift in your outer world. And that's exactly what it is. Okay, so Erica, you're definitely trying to understand your journey. Yes, I understand, sweetheart, because this journey is beautiful and painful and weird. And you know what? Even sometimes I feel spacey and I'm like, oh, what the heck? You know what I mean? And it's really trusting your higher self, because your higher self knows the way with you, because that's your connection to the divine. Okay, and if only we would listen And that's why there's an art to this listing, because there's sacred listening. We're on a sacred journey. We're in a sacred time. Your body is sacred. I understand it more. You don't just feel like you want to deal with any and anything anymore. And it's not about hiding from anything or anyone, because when, excuse me, I'm outside. I'm outside. So the more we overstand, like I said, what's happening, and able to keep healing through it, and just be in that moment and listen to the guidance that you're receiving, and also with what your higher self is telling you, because your higher self is going to help you to do to make the help with the impossible become possible. Okay. And releasing those fears, because we're so used to being told what to do. We're so used to what we see in our outer world because of the what's going on with all these different things. I'm not even going to call the names. You already know. And I don't focus on that. My outer world has nothing to, it's none of my business. I have empathy. I have compassion for others. But guess what? The more we focus, and all those mentalities of the slavery, the wars, whatever might come from this person that's running this country and other countries and all that stuff, then guess what? You're feeding into it. Because remember, please remember, everything that is in the subconscious mind, in the collective, is what is showing up. Be conscious of that and keep remembering that it's serving its purpose. Because we're coexisting with the duality right now, but the duality consciousness is collapsing, and that's why we're heading to the unity consciousness. That's what we're creating. That's what we're recreating. So there's no more of this competition, egomaniacal, manipulating type of energy. And I got to steal this person's customer, or take this, or this one paranoid because I think this one tried to, it's all these different energies that is dilapidating. You know what I mean? And focusing more on love. As I said to someone today too, I asked if, I know I did say it in the last video, but I didn't get to finish it because I get carried away sometime. But that's how my soul is. I get excited with what I want to share. And I said the highest form of past joy, you have happy joy, it's blissfulness. That blissful energy is what we are acclimating. And that blissful energy comes from when we are in the energy and act of making love. Okay? And it's the truth. It is. And the average person is not even in the true act of making love, that frequency and what it does for you. And then when you're in that frequency, what it does for everyone around you. And as we head back to that place where we're just going to be in love with each other and merging that energy together. Notice what I said. Merging that energy together. Saying that to my neighbor. Merging that energy together. That frequency is what collapses all the chaos, all the poverty consciousness, all of the lack and limitation consciousness, all of the betrayal consciousness, all of the consciousness that doesn't serve us is what collapses. So even if you go through whatever you go through, don't forget to come back to being in love. And you say, how can I be in love with all of this happening? Just be there. Just be it. And if you even have to listen to love songs and love music to get you back into that frequency, then do that. Okay? Then do that. And that's so important. So let me go to more comments and questions. Jessie Lee. Oh, yes, Jessie Lee. You were definitely in Egypt, my dear. Yes, you were. Yes, you are. We still are. Who told you, you mean everyone here, who told you that we are not in biblical times? We are still in biblical times. It's just an illusion, time itself. Everything is happening now. Everything. We're just getting rid of, it's just like when you eat food. Okay, I put it simple that even a child can understand. When you eat food, your body is going to take in the nutrients, and then afterwards it's going to pass it out, right? So we're passing out. Hey, we're passing out what doesn't serve us. We're passing out whatever stays within ourselves as nutrients, and anything else that is like bacteria or it's not good for us is going to go. And that is what's happening in layman terms, so to speak. Okay. Hi, Hector. Okay, Yoki said, okay, that's a dream. I want to go to anybody. I want to leave anybody else. Christina, you feeling awesome? Yay, I'm glad you're feeling awesome. I'm glad that you sing. Keep singing your heart out, Laura. So important to keep on singing, because when you sing, you start to feel an energy start to flow with you. And then when you sing and dance, you're moving and shifting something around you. So Visualize this with me now, everyone. You're dancing, you're singing, you're making love, you're also cracking jokes off the chain, okay? And you have your face on, or not, you know, it's your choice. It's your choice. You know, it's like I say life is, well, you know, people say, oh, this is what God has dealt me, and this is what, you know, has happened to me because blah, 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 blah. But still remember that you are co-creating your reality, you know, with you, and anything and all things can change in an instant, not only based on your thoughts and your feelings, but what you're doing. You know, it's the masculine and the feminine that you're bringing together, what you're bringing together. Just too much, you know, they say too much of one thing on one side is not good. Too much of anything, it's all in moderation. So that applies to the energy and the shifting that you're doing, all of that. If you feel guided to go out, walk on the grass, go out and go by the water, enjoy. Please don't call me on the phone, whoever's trying to call me on Facebook Messenger, or I will block you. Yes, I will. Don't like doing that, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Okay, so hey, Berwin. Hey, love. Sending you lots of love. Yes, Ayuka, time is definitely non-linear because we're already heading into September. We're already heading into September, you see? No, we can't plan anything anymore because that's why Spirit has us to just be in the moment, you know. I don't plan anything anymore. I just do it impromptu, just like that. If it's meant to be, it will be. And that's according to your expectations and your beliefs as well. You see? Key thing. Laura, she says you're a singer. Oh, okay. Yes, there is so much healing that comes from singing, dancing, making love also, but that's with, of course, with your divine true partner as well, and how much more you're bringing in these what do I call it? It's like a high elevation of codes that flows through you know, the soul. You know what I mean? And that's what's so important. Is there any questions anybody wants to ask me at all? Just feel free to ask me a question or anything that you may want to discuss that I may not have discussed. I wanted to at least make sure I brought the information forth to what Spirit was showing me today of the fact that we have collapsed some major timelines and major frequencies that has really held us back, you know, for a lot of things to move forward. And you know, it's nothing to do with judging. Remember that it's not about judging. It's just about over and understanding it, and then what do you do? Where do you go from there? Where do you place yourself? What do you do next? And there comes with it also surrendering. There is a surrendering to this as well. Surrendering to God's will, and also surrendering to your will and the path that you're on, and not placing it in a box either, because if you're being guided to move in a direction, whether it's a literal move or an energetic move, a physical move, out of something, release from something, then listen. That's a part of that sacred listening, because that sacred listening is what brings you to the next step and the next part of your journey. It's like really being on the yellow brick road. When I said before that Dorothy, all this time she didn't know, all she had to do was click her heels and she was home. So, but we still had to go on that journey. You still had to, I don't say learn, but more remembering ourselves and remembering who we are, that we brought all of this on our path. And when I say brought all of this, meaning the forgetfulness, okay? So that forgetfulness, that memory of who we are, is what's coming back little by little, or depending on how much you're working on yourself. And truly believing and knowing that you have the power not only to heal yourself, you have the power to shift things around you, you have the power to make things happen. Truly creating that magic, okay? So you said you're being called to, then go, yes, keep going in nature and hiking and all of that. And I think you do that, I think it's Tai Chi, but there's some sort of exercise that I see you do outdoors to keep with that, because that helps you to stay in balance also. I do feel like from the last time I spoke to you, I feel some shifts that has happened internally with you in your solar plexus and all that stuff. This person keeps calling me. And so I feel that that's very good for you. And I'm hearing to still keep going by the water. The water especially is extremely healing for you. Yeah, oh, the yoga, okay. Okay, so Burr, when you said, why did the solar eclipse drain you to sleep since I've been having physical battle? Okay, well, the solar eclipse, because that happened to me, I went to bed earlier than I normally would last night. And some people, they were like, oh, Sharon, you're probably just going to bed now, because I usually go to sleep like 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. But what happens when we're going through these shifts, your body is going to sort of like go on a shutdown mode. And that means it's because it is working through not only healing, but clearing. And so you're to follow guidance when it's time to go to sleep. We're not going to be on set patterns with this, you know what I mean? But know that when you're sleeping, your astral body is traveling all over the place and gathering up information and healing. Also, we're receiving divine codes, because remember, this solar eclipse is also bringing in new divine codes for the feminine and the masculine. That is happening also. We're clearing out the old system. It's like we don't use DOS programming anymore, right? We're using what? Now it's well, I know I have FiOS, so it's Microsoft 10 or something like that, even though they still have glitches still, whatever. So we're creating a newer version of ourselves. So look at it this way. Instead, oh, my throat. Instead of labeling as a physical battle, look at it and ask yourself, what am I remembering about myself? What am I remembering about the power I have within me to heal myself with the battles that I'm having, and heal myself with what I'm experiencing in my reality and my perception of it? And once you shift your perception of it, in other words, not labeling it, and also just knowing that there's a part of you that is rising higher, and another higher version of yourself. And for you to remember that version of yourself, you're going to have the experience of what you label as a physical battle. So instead of saying it's a battle, look at it as what is showing up as a blessing for me with what I'm experiencing, and me showing my strength. Because in order for you to know strength, you're going to face your weaknesses, okay? And in that weakness, you are showing how powerful and beautiful you are, because I see you as someone who was a warrior in a past life, and you felt defeated. You felt defeated. You didn't give up, but you still felt defeated. And so I see you with spears in your hand, you know, and I feel like you had a wound in your stomach. So do you have issues with your stomach? Like sometimes you have some sharp pain, because that consciousness that you're holding in from that life is the pain that you're having in your stomach, okay? And it's because of the stabbing, because sometimes it feels like stabbing, and it's like as if no one has been able to even pinpoint that to you, because you're holding on to that experience that you have. So today forward, we are releasing that consciousness that you've been carrying for a long time with that pain because of being stabbed and killed, because you died. And it happens so many times, several lifetimes. You go out to, you know, out in the field, and you're trying to protect others, and you got killed, okay? And you were hurt, bleeding to death and all that stuff. So I see the whole picture. And so now you can release that energy and release that timeline, and knowing that you're free now, and you're free to feel safe in the body that you're in now, because sometimes I feel like you don't feel safe in your body. And okay, so you're having diarrhea. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So just say to yourself, you know, because I teach affirmations, you know, to do with the I am presence, and just say to yourself, I am now free to be in this body that I carry in this lifetime, and that I no longer have to fear or think that anyone is going to betray me and stab me and kill me, because I'm standing up for myself and for others. And so it is, okay? And so from this day forward, you know that you are working, and you have worked on healing yourself with that past pain that you've carried for centuries. And that also, what I'm hearing is that you're now free to love. You don't have to fear love, because I feel like you feared love because when you put yourself out there, you're afraid somebody or something might kill you over it. So you can release that consciousness as well. So I hope that helped you. Okay, Uki said, is there anything you could do to help release more? When you say to release more, are you speaking in terms of... you be specific, any specific, or energy work? Well, what I'm hearing from Spirit is lighten up, okay? Lighten up on yourself, and don't feel like as if you have to like sometimes I feel like you overdo it, And sometimes you kind of like, I don't want to use the word nitpick, but you pay attention to every single thing that you think you're doing. Am I doing this right? Is this okay? You know, just breathe and let that go, and know that you're doing everything perfectly just the way, you know, that you are. It's time to go have some fun. Go have some fun. Go and play sometimes also. Go watch a movie, go out to the movie, go dance, do something different that you've never done before, and stop feeling like I have to concentrate on my spirituality and what I'm doing spiritually and so on and so forth. You understand what I'm saying? So release that from yourself, and not completely though, just come into balance with yourself with that. Come into balance and have some fun, Spirit says. Go have some fun. Okay? So that's good. So I don't know if anyone else has any more questions or comments to what has affected you or helped you or assisted you or shifted you with the solar eclipse, knowing that major timelines have been shifting and shifted, and that you're recreating your outer reality now. You're recreating a lot of things that you're welcome, Ayuka. You're recreating your reality to what you choose to experience in any way possible, to do with abundance. And you know, as you are putting out the intention to what you're choosing, you don't have to think that you have to say it over and over and over and over again. Okay, this is about putting out the intentions out there now, and releasing and surrendering it to the divine, knowing that it is so, that it is happening. And that even during the time and the course that you are experiencing what you're experiencing, that things are going to keep collapsing around you, you know, or seem chaotic around you, or seem like it's falling apart. You know, things must fall apart in order to come back together, just like Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. No, I say it properly. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. If it wasn't for all the king's horses and king's men, then Humpty Dumpty would not have been able to put him and herself back together again. But it's you that put yourself back together again. It's not about anyone coming to the rescue. Because, see, I fell for that a long time ago. Constantly, that's another consciousness that's leaving, is thinking that we're here to save the world and we're here to save others. No, you're here to save yourself. You're here to heal yourself. You're here to understand and remember yourself. That's what you're here for. You're here to love more than anything else. That's the main creme de la creme, is remembering true love. And all of the distorted energy that has existed throughout all those lifetimes and what happened from the beginning of time, that's dissipating, is because we're coming back to that purity consciousness, the purity consciousness of true divine relationships, the purity consciousness of true love with our beloved or ids, and also that purity consciousness of how we view one another, how the masculine has viewed the feminine, you know, with thinking that, you know, there's treachery and betrayals and manipulating and pettiness and competitions and stealing from one another, you know, all those energies and frequencies. What we're shifting and moving it out the way, and being aware of it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you may say things you're not even aware that you're saying it. You see, and why it has affected you for so long. And a lot of times when we don't clear out those consciousness, then what happens is it manifests into some type of illness. Or one of you I'm picking up on went through a lot of abuse with a parent, and I'm hearing this parent just screaming at you as a little child, and it has affected you for such a long time, calling you really awful names and saying you're worthless, you're good for nothing, or something like that is what I'm hearing. And it's okay to forgive and to release that thought, because I'm just feeling someone. You don't have to say who you are if you don't want to, and if you do, you know, it's okay. But I'm just sending you love, and I understand where it comes from, because there's a lot of things that some of us have experienced in childhood as far as verbal abuse, and verbal abuse is just as bad as physical abuse. And we think that it's okay for someone to talk to us that way, because I feel like as if growing up with that type of energy has affected you with your relationships, all your relationships. It's like I could hear it in my head all those words that were spoken, and cruelty, because it feels like cruelty to me. Okay. And you know, we can release that, and that it's okay to release that. And another thing too that it's okay to release is that if you had a parent that mistreated you, called you names, was abusive, a lot of times there's some who are holding on to this consciousness that, well, I have to honor my parents and I got to honor them because they're my parents. Well, guess what? Sometimes if they're not honorable, it's okay to let that go. Okay? Because you see, you know, there's a saying that as one door closes, a window opens, and that know that your true mother and father is the divine, and that spirit will also send someone into your life who will, now I wouldn't say necessarily replace, but they will be also treating you like how the true mother and father would be. And so that's why I said the purity of how we live and how we view one another, you know. And even I'm going to go to the females too, and how there are thought patterns out there when it comes to the view of the masculine, the male energy, and calling names, and how we view them maybe as fathers or caregivers, or thinking that, you know, there's a consciousness that some of the males carry, that they gotta work and work hard and take care of the family. And then there's the separation that occurs in the families, and there's no true family. And then most people, they're sitting around, they don't even sit around the table anymore. You know, no one is really coming together and talk and express feelings and all these type of things. And what happens is that disconnect is what continues, and then that disconnect continues and passes on to our children, thinking that the family just pulls away. And I'm saying there are moments when you may not be able to be together, but if you're all consciously working together and saying, okay, it's time for us to come together. You know, it's like when I was married, I had said to my ex-husband at the time, I said, I was thinking so much in terms of balance, that I told him, I said, look, there are times when go be with your friends. Go be with your friends. I said, as long as there's moments where we're going to be together, and then there's times we're going to spend with the children, and times when I'm going to be with the children. And that's how we bring things into balance. Anytime, listen carefully, anytime there is something missing when it comes to our lives, our relationships, because the relationships is the key to how we are evolving. And whenever anything is missing when it comes to these relationships, you know what happens? Then things start to fall apart. And then everybody, you know, they try to lock it in the box, try to make it work. But you can't make it work, because if it's not working anymore, that's it. It's just going to keep falling apart. And that's what's happening to do with this eclipse, is that things are going to keep falling apart if you're holding on to a fake, false reality. Just face the truth, because it sets you free and it sets someone else free. You see? And you're to honor yourself, because we honor ourselves, we honor others, we stay in our truth, we stay within our power. You become empowered. The other person become empowered. There is no energy of wanting to have control over another person. There's also energy that we're shifting where there's better communication. The communication on this planet truly sucks. It does. Most people are more ready and willing to more texting and that's it. Well, how about picking up the phone and calling? And how about when someone calls you, you answer the phone? You know, you never know how a voice or something might be healing for you and helpful for you. But there's so much avoidance of things, and the eclipse represents that we can't hide even from ourselves either. You can't hide anymore. The truth is more and more prevalent than anything else now. I know a lot of you are in contact with people where the mask have been falling off left, right, and center. Left, right, and center. And that's why it's important that as you continue to become and be authentic with yourself, stay in your power, stay in your truth, the next person is going to do the same thing, and the next person is going to do the same thing. If you keep focusing on what's happening externally, what's happening in the outside world, and focus on the news and what's going on, so you can get upset and mad, so you can go to work or call up somebody and start cussing again, what you're doing, you're bringing down your vibration again. That's all you're doing. So why do it? Why do it? You know, we still can apply common sense when it comes to our journey, you know. And that common sense is Why do I put myself through this? If you know you're unhappy about something, whether it's a job, your home life, your neighborhood, whatever, leave. You're not a tree. Not in this life, you're not a tree. So leave. Get out of Dodge. Shift it. And trust the divine. The divine is going to lead you in the right place and the right time and the right moment and the right situation to receiving this guidance and help. And know that the help and the guidance that you're going to receive is not going to look normal anymore. No. The way things are happening on the earth plane with these shifts is that you're receiving help in a supernatural way. Do you know what I mean when I say that? That means that you're going to have like powerful messages and synchronicity or however you pronounce it, and signs and wonders, the signs and wonders of the earth. But it's to pay attention, to see things beyond what your physical eye is seeing. Listen carefully to what may come out of someone's mouth, because if they're saying something to you, especially for twins, especially if your divine counterpart is saying something, that's your aha moment. Okay, what am I looking at here? Because there's something mirroring back from my soul to that person, or vice versa. What are we healing? What are we shifting? What are we in movement here with? How many of you have been seeing a lot of 555s, 999s? I saw today my syncs. This was in the afternoon when I left out. Finally, when I got out of the house, I saw 3333 at 4:44 p.m. How you like them apples? 3333 at 4:44 p.m. And when I returned back, I saw Eve on a license plate. I see Eve almost every single day. Peace, Patty. Peace, peace, peace to you. Peace, Charlene. How are you? Hi, Lauren. Hi, Gilmar. Hi, Sharon. How are you, Sharon? Thank you for joining me tonight. Today, it was actually before dark. So, you know, I'm beginning to think that the hour went by. But, you see, when the Spirit of the Lord is up to something, when God is up to, when the universe, when the cosmos and the divine is up to something, there is nothing to stop this, you see. It doesn't matter what rules or regulations might want to come into play, but guess what? I know who I am, and I know why I'm here. The more we recognize and remember and know our divinity, nothing can affect us. It's literally like when Yeshua, also known as Jesus, walked on water. Did he worry about whether he was going to sink in the water? No, he didn't. He was there, and the disciples were so afraid, right? So there is nothing to fear but fear itself, because as I said before, you're all going to see more and more signs and wonders. Sometimes it's okay to step out of the physical realm with what you're experiencing, and it's time to tune into the spiritual realm. There's some who go more into the spiritual realm and remember about the physical world as well. I said to the banker today, you know, I went there today just to get some information. I ended up sitting down talking to this man, and I was like, oh boy. And I told him, I said, you know what he said to me? I can't remember. Who remembers that movie with Charlize Theron and Will Smith? And it's about twin flames. And I stood there and wondered, and I was like, oh my God. I said that was a sign. You see, that's what I'm talking about with paying attention to the signs. And I said to him, I said, I am a twin soul. And I said, that was from the divine, coming from his mouth to my ears, to what I was supposed to hear. It didn't mean anything more extra than the fact that I'm on my path. You are on your path. We're all on our path. The more you allow yourself to remember, it's not a learning. I don't teach in that way. You're remembering who you are, is the more you are doing something for others and the planet, okay? Be that which you choose to experience. If you know you don't choose to experience something that makes you unhappy, then not only change your thoughts, do something about it too. Don't just sit there and not do something with it. It's important to bring it together, you know, into balance, okay? So, and then I also say this when sometimes somebody is confused about what path to take or what decision to make or choice to make. And I say, well, if you have more than one option, Which one of it makes you feel better? Which one elevates you? Which one brings you back up again? Which one makes you feel like, I love this? But if it makes you feel like, I don't know, that's your inner guidance for you to follow. Okay, that's your yellow brick road. That's your sign. And too often we ignore the signs and then we suffer. I said to someone, I remember when I had a friend of mine, she knows who she is, and I told her, and I said, you know, you love to suffer. No, don't say that. That's not true. I said, yes, it is true. I said, you love to suffer, because if you didn't love to suffer, then you wouldn't allow yourself to keep on experiencing the same thing over and over and over again. You see what I'm saying? And so I say to my fellow human divine beings, if you know that you are going through something right now that you're not happy about, you're uncomfortable, and I know you could say, well, I didn't create this, you know, this is my situation. I understand. But there's something for you to stop and to pause and to look. Hi, Sharon. We have 3 Sharons on here. And there's something to hi, Kay. Didn't miss you too. Patty, Morrow. Thank you for joining me this evening. There's something for you to think about, that if it's something that makes me feel unhappy, or something that you feel confused, but you still keep on that path, and sometimes it's a path to more sorrow and more pain and more suffering. Why allow yourself to go through the suffering? It is still a choice. And this is about how you're aligning not only with your thoughts, you're aligning with the choice that you're making and the feelings that go behind it. Your feeling is the language that's coming from your soul. Okay? That's what it is. And you know, the things that I'm talking about today is not anything that people talk about this in your household. And it wasn't definitely taught in most cases in the religious structures, you see, because all these structures and things, that anything that is controlled or anything that is to diminish or to demean the feminine energy is not going to occur anymore. And I'm telling you the truth, okay? The true path of the soul is to know itself. And in order for the soul to know itself, it had to forget itself. Okay, the opposite, the polarity, the duality, it had to show itself. That is how we're doing it on this planet. That is how we're shifting, no matter what corner of the earth we're from, no matter how we were brought up and all that. Anything that represents rigidity, control, power, you have to do this, you better do that. You can't marry this person. You got to be with this person. You had a baby, so you better get married, and all this unhappiness and all that stuff. It's just not happening anymore. Most of you know that, especially, I say that the ones who are younger, and when I say younger, I'm talking about, I would say now, like 25 and below, it's a lot easier with them because they remember more. And they're not in the dogmatic frequency of what they're holding on to. I got to hold on to what, was taught to me. And no, that's not what it is. It's, and it's, it's whatever God decided. No, you decided too. It's just that it was not taught for you to believe and know that there was power that you have within yourself in what you are choosing, in what you're choosing. So I hope, let me change that. I know that somehow, whichever way that I've, delivered this message. If anyone had missed anything I said from the beginning, feel free to watch me again and anything. If anyone else has any questions, speak now and ask the questions, or let me know what you've been feeling with the eclipse energy. Know that the energy is continuing between now and the end of the year, and even surpassing that further, because it's a major event. But for me, the major event was not watching an eclipse in the sky. No, the major event is what's happening internally. So you're all going through an eclipse within yourselves. There is no one left out of this. Even the animals, the pets. Do you hear the crickets? They're loud. Everything and anything living is affected by this eclipse. Everything or any energy that we've been holding on to for a very, very long time is what is shifting. Okay, So Patty, you're asking your twin cousin what's his deal. What's his deal is that he's feeling the energies also. He's feeling the energies also. And give me 1 second. I got to drink some water. Got to balance that out. The thirst. Okay, so what I'm getting with him is that he is feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety in his solar plexus, his stomach. And it feels even stronger than before. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like when I tune into him and what I'm hearing from spirit, it's almost like when you're feeling something and you feel weird and you want to call your mother, you know, you want to call someone to find out or feel out what is going on, because he knows that the connection that he has to you, that you can kind of more explain it. So even if he may have said anything out of ego, I wouldn't really pay that much attention to it. But I feel like he's seeking answers, because I feel like as if he, I don't know why, I feel like he had a dream. Spirit is telling me he had a dream or something. Some type of dream, like how you told me about the dreams that you said that you were having. He was also having, you were both together in the astral plane anyway, because I was even saying earlier on the live that there are a lot of divine masculine, especially if it's the masculine, because that masculine energy is what started out with the patriarchal system and everything that happened with when mankind fell from grace, because I'm explaining it in biblical terms and just regular terms. And the mere fact is that the patriarchal system is what brought things into the power with bringing on and creating these religious structures and belief systems and all that stuff, and what has happened to the feminine. And so I really feel like the divine masculine, they are now remembering themselves. They really are. They're remembering something more in their memory about who they were in the past and what their soul mission is. And I really feel that as that memory comes on, I feel like there's some that's going to be really reaching out to their feminine, because they know that, it's like there's something within them that knows that there's something missing, and that their outer world is collapsing more and more, and they want to bring those pieces together. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of it has to do with them coming into acceptance about themselves, coming into acceptance about who they are. I really feel most of them know who they are, but it's more about accepting who they are and not being in fear about it and not judging themselves. And also I'm glad that you brought that question, because what I was also receiving in messages from spirit is that they're also remembering how they treated the divine feminine, the abandonment and all that stuff. And they are kind of sort of looking for forgiveness, and they feel guilty. So there's a guilty energy that comes with this as well. So that's another thing too that I'm getting from that. So I hope that makes sense. So Ayuka, you said you felt your twin connect with you in 5 density was sorry. Oh, see that there. See, I didn't know that. So that's why I told you, spirit. I've been getting just messages galore to what is happening within the past 3 days, and especially today. So it's what's happening personally with ourselves and those who are twins, because those who are twin souls, remember that the twin flames and twin souls, you're welcome, sis. Twin souls is where the two bodies occupy that one space, and we share the same frequency. And it's like there's a masculine and a feminine form, because that's how it was in the beginning of time, is that we were androgynous. That means that we were connected, spiritually connected, and that is the alchemical marriage. Okay, and so with that part in the scripture that was written, the 144,000, that is a part of who I am as one of the 144,000. I already had the memory of when I went before God. I stood before Mother God in her presence, and I was divinely connected to my twin. I was golden in color. I'm sharing this with you because you're going to hear about it in the book. There's most that may not understand it. It's okay. It'll all come out in time as you may want to come back later on, and then it'll make sense to you. It may not make sense to you because you're not a twin, but those who are twins know what I'm talking about. And more of these memories are coming back, and they're remembering their divine counterparts. And we were the ones that agreed to incarnate back on the planet with the awakening that's happening. So it's important to know that this is the awakening, darlings. This is the awakening. We are in this ascension time frame, and we're all ascending. And there's just so much to talk about, But there's also a lot more than just talking, but also over and understanding it. Okay? So it is time to start seeking what is within to know what is happening outside of you, that it's not just happening just for the heck of it. It really isn't. You all know that time is speeding up like a freight train. And there's some who will choose to get on certain train, to get on a certain stop, and some may choose not to. And that's okay. There's no judgment with that either. Because, you know, Spirit showed me already that not everybody can become awakened at the same time. Because guess what? It'd be even more chaotic. So it's just some of us are ahead of this, which includes twin souls. So that way we are, I wouldn't say being initiated. It's more coming back into memory of who we are and what role we played. We've all played major roles many times on the planet. But things fell apart so many times. And that's still okay because it was meant to be that way. Because twin souls incarnated to gather up all of the life experiences that we've had. And it's not every lifetime that you're with your twin either. Every relationship that a twin has had with your partners, guess what? You're experiencing that through your twin, because that is what that does. So there's some twins who don't even know that either. If anyone comes into your space and you're having experience with them, whether it could be karmic, may not be karmic, it could be that you are having love and light to you, Leaf. Thank you for coming from Sweden. Blessings. And sometimes it might be someone that's coming in as someone that's helping you to heal, to propel towards your twin, you know. So everyone has a different template and a different way that things are helping to do with the shifts that are happening on the planet. So there's no two that are like the same. But the universal thing is that we are bringing in the true, pure consciousness of love. Hear what I said again. The true, pure consciousness of love. And that was revealed to me while I was taking my bath in the water one day. And it was shown to me about the purity. And that's why, and anyone else is heading back to true divine partnerships. It's not where you're staying in relationships where it's not suiting one person or the other, and not because it's for the sake of money or children or pleasing mommy and daddy. Sorry, I have to put up my candle because the mosquito them are, you know, they love my blood. And I gotta have to put the candle closer. See? That's my candle right there. And so that's the reason and the purpose for twins and what's happening. And so there's some of us, like I said before, that are ascending and not necessarily twins, and they're on their divine path. And there's so much healing that is happening with each of us. A lot of healing. And I'm talking healing in layers and layers. It's like peeling back the onions. And the more you allow yourself to not be in fear of it, the easier your journey becomes with this, okay? The easier. So, okay, so let me see what he says here. Ayuka, he says, I don't know if I don't pronounce your name right. I don't know why. I don't know how to pronounce your name. You're experiencing a 5D relationship with someone right now that's not your twin, and you love the experience. That's beautiful, because, you see, also a part of this journey is where we're experiencing what it is to not only healing with the trauma, but really demonstrating what unconditional love is. And that's also one of the things to do with twins, is that we're here to demonstrate unconditional love, because the twin soul is a connection. It's a connection. That connection can be extended and also experienced through someone of the same sex. And also another thing too that was shown to me by the Holy Spirit, I talk about it in the book. I saw it 3 times. It was shown to me that, you know, because the book is called The Return of the Garden of Eden. We're returning back that Garden of Eden, paradise, true paradise. And that paradise and the reflection of this return, as stated, is that there were more than one template. So there's a template of male and female, and there was a template of female, male, 1 female, 2 males, 1 male, 2 females. Okay, those are the templates that existed back then. So as we go along, one will remember how it was in the beginning of time. But if you are blocking anything from yourself, or because you don't want to look at yourself, you don't want to face yourself or face the mirrors or face anything, you may not remember. So it's not for anyone to tell anyone what the other person's journey is or is not. Okay, there are so many oh yes, Berwin, it's going to be so phenomenal, this book. As a matter of fact, I'll just announce and tell you that the book that I'm doing is an audio book, and also it is the modern Bible. That's what Spirit told me several times, that this is the modern Bible, because I often make jokes and say, you know, if the Bible that was handed down from Jen and all the other books, if it was audio, do you think there would be less confusion out there? I think so, because it was written words. I'm here to also help when it comes to communication, to help people to understand how important it is to communicate with one another. And the highest form of communication is in person. Yes, it is. Even sometimes in person it can be a little distorted, but that is the highest form of communication. So if you can hightail your ass over to the person to talk to them instead of texting, I recommend that you do that. The next level of communication is video calling one another. So you see each other eye to eye, making eye contact, okay? Respond to one another, because when people don't respond to the other person, you know what happens? Then somebody jumps to conclusions, and then the chaos begins again. There's so much chaos. And then this person passes on the message from the other one, and it gets distorted. Then we also have the language barrier, the language differences, okay? That's another thing. Do you understand? And that's why, and overstand, it's important to understand it's time to shift how we communicate with one another. What is there to be afraid of just to communicate and to say something to someone or to see someone? You never know what might benefit for you for your day just by picking up the phone. That's right. Instead of only sending, Snapchats and, Instagram chats or whatever the heck that you use, you know what I mean, is a live thing. That's why not only with the book being audio, but that you see me, because what? You're feeling the vibration, you're feeling the energy, you're feeling the frequency, but things have just dissipated so much on the planet that it's just the written words, and those written words is what has caused so much chaos. So think about how you can shift that today also when it comes to how you communicate with one another. The universal language is love. It is, and it always will be love. Even if you dislike someone with what they say, you still can hold a space of unconditional love for someone. You see? And also putting yourself in their shoes to how they might be feeling. And instead of jumping to conclusions about something they may have written or even something they said, pick up the phone. And then if you see the phone ringing, whoever you are, answer the phone. You never know what can shift and change in your life, and how we just allow all the blessings that is coming for you. And people want to say, oh, it didn't come yet, I don't have it yet. Why? Because you're pushing away your blessings. You rather stay in the sorrow, the suffering, the chaos, and gossiping with, written stuff, instead of getting to the truth and us connecting with our hearts and looking at each other eye to eye and face to face. Makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. So there's no excuse anymore to how we can change when it comes to communicating with one another, and what that communication can do for ourselves and to do for others, and placing ourselves in each other's shoes with compassion and understanding, and not ignoring. I can just feel that if every person was to focus on their communication skills and how they're doing this, how much more things will change on this planet as well. Seriously. I observe it all, and I see it all, and I feel it all. I really do. Anyone who knows me personally knows what I'm talking about. Hey, Cheryl, thank you for joining me, sis. This is what I'm talking about. And I really am thankful for being able to to be better today with being able to speak today, because, and I know I've gone past the hour, and that's the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit says this thing is going past the hour, and Facebook not shutting it down. And that's it, even while I play the music in the background. You see, this is what I'm talking about, powerful, because you see, as we're all gathered here together in holy matrimony, because this is a holy matrimony, this is the holy grail, this is the time, this is the moment that we're taking on with these energies, with what we are shifting. And as you shift, somebody else shift. And what I said before, when you shift, shit happens, and when shit happens, you shift. Because even how many times you go on the toilet and you shit and you feel better, right? Don't something shift and it's like, oh, I feel so much better. Oh, I feel lighter now. Isn't that how it works for you? Well, then it's the same thing with whatever you're holding in energy. You see? If you know that you love someone and you're in love with someone, why don't you just contact them and tell them that you love them? Just do that. You never know what can shift. You never know what can come forth from us expressing ourselves. You see? The soul has always longed and always continues to be in expression. We're always in expression. And it's not about the physical words, because you see, the words were created. We know who created those words, right? And those words, and what happened when it came to the Tower of Babel. It had to happen when we broke down in languages and customs and all of these different things. But those customs and cultures were in place because we had to divide ourselves so we can get to know ourselves. And everyone in every human race, capacity, culture has done ugly things in life in every way. So there's no need to point fingers at this one, and this one worse than this one. It don't make no sense. You and I, we have all been every single thing. Everything Spirit showed me how we have evolved. So look at and think about how much you have evolved as of this moment, or last week, or yesterday, or whatever, and ask yourself how wonderful you feel about yourself because of what you have shifted today, and how much more you're continuing to shift, because it's going to always be an ongoing process. It's not going to just end, you know, just like that. It's going to be continuous. Our bodies is going to shift and change, and that's for those who choose to stay, because there's some who are going to feel that they just don't want to look at anything. They don't want to shift. They don't want to change. They want to stay. And it's okay. Because like I said before, the way how things are balancing on the planet, not everyone can awaken at the same time. Because I tell you, if that was the case, then this would be even more chaotic. You see? And so this Armageddon that I said before, I don't remember if anyone had heard me when I said that I had that dream where there was an Armageddon. And it was a earthquake, a shake-up. And that shake-up is internal. It's an internal shake-up. And that shake-up is where the divine is taking you, because oftentimes, what does it take for human beings to wake up? You know, say wakey, wakey. It always takes something chaotic. It always takes something what you label as bad. And that's all it is just a label. It always takes something dramatic, something just in order to get your attention. Attention. Class is in session, but it's not a class. It's just a time that you chose to incarnate, to not only show who you are, demonstrate who you are, but to also really bring in that energy of true love. And the true love starts with you. It starts with you. And instead of looking at other people's backyards and what they're doing and how they're doing it and where it's coming from, stay in your lane, stay in your backyard. And if someone is of need and assistance, then be there for them. If you can't, you can't, because there's no anybody telling you have to do something. The minute somebody says you have to, then that's when the programming and that control mechanism starts all over again. And it's just not, it's not holding itself anymore. It can't. Any of that old stuff cannot hold itself, and that's one of the main purposes of why the eclipse came. We're in that time, we're in that space, we're in that energy, we're in that frequency, okay? Not to be with fear. It's just to be with understanding and overstanding and the wisdom that comes with it. The wisdom. And where it is taking you on your journey, where it is taking us on our journey, regardless of what category it's in, regardless of whether somebody seems awake to you or not, because you don't know what that soul is up to. Each and every one of us have a soul purpose, even including who is supposedly running this country. Give God thanks for the blessings, because if that person didn't come out in the open to who they are and all the others, would you have known? No. That is where the shadow is just showing itself up and out. You see? Use wisdom with what's happening. Focus on the truth. Focus on why it's happening and where it's happening all around the world and all those who are affected. Yes, we keep in prayers and positive thoughts and all of that stuff. But just don't allow yourself to get carried away in the bitterness and the anger, because what purpose does it serve you? If you're releasing, that's different, of course. But I'm talking about the ones who keep, putting out messages out there as if you're going to go to war and war going to happen in this way, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to be in fear. They want you to be in all that dogma thing. So that way you go right back to the same thing again, and you go back into the third dimensional consciousness. But if you allow yourself to be separated from that and not pay attention to that, then guess what? Your reality will stay on the path of what? Joy and what you're recreating, and still not holding on to all of the things that we've experienced in the past. Yes, we've all experienced a lot of things in the past, and that is the past. You remember that it happened, and then we're grateful. Even if it was awful, we're grateful for how and why it happened, because it happened because we are showing ourselves to who we are based on what we have experienced, or what our families and our ancestors have experienced. But if you keep posting things over and over and over again about the things that has not served us, and I'm not saying not to acknowledge, but how much energy are you putting into it? How about coming back to the other side and focusing back on love? How about some joy? How about bringing up things to do with our children and what the children are trying to show you? I'm telling you, parents of young children, pay attention to what your children are saying. Do you know they have more memory of themselves in these past lives? They do. They really, really do. And it's important to pay attention to what they're saying, because they have divine messages. They really do. And that's why I say it's just more important to really focus again on what this eclipse means for you and everyone around you, whether or not hiding about it, talking about it openly, and really, really, truly not giving any rat's ass or whatever to what anyone says, because it is happening. It is happening through you, through me, not to you, because we're not victims. We're letting go of the victim consciousness. That victim consciousness is what also has continued to propel through a lot of our folks. I said again, we're not at war here. We're here about change and shifting consciously with what we have been taught and what we've carried for centuries. And that shift happens starting from you, and then your children, they're already doing it through you, and they're facilitating that with you as well. I'll give you a joke. My son Brandon, he said to me, "Mom, you're going to look at the eclipse tomorrow." He's talking about today. And I say, "Yeah, I'm probably look at it." He's like, "Well, I'm going to let you know from now, I'm not going to be walking up the stairs if you go blind." So I said, "No." So I started to laugh, because he's going like he's my husband. Okay? But he was making a joke, because it's like your own children would look at you and say, are you stupid? Why would you do that? I don't have time for that. They stick to what they know as far as their truth and the joy and what comes with truly living. Okay? Truly living. And not getting so wrapped up all the time with all the 3D stuff, because I still ask that question. How many of you out there know that there was something internally happening to do with this eclipse? How many of you out there knew that? How many of you felt it? How many of you paid attention to that? Okay? So anyway, if anybody else doesn't have any more questions, if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask, or anything that you feel that you would like to hear me talk about or discuss that I haven't. Speak now, forever hold your peace, because the mosquito them bothering me now. They like the sweet blood. They like the Jamaican sweet blood. So please speak now or forever. We shall continue with conversation. So I won't say forever hold our peace. And if not, I'm gonna go into a little language prayer / meditation. If anyone knows that I do speak in tongues, this is a part of the process, and the tongues is the true language of the soul, not speaking in words. We're from tones and frequencies. And so a lot of language was flowing through to me, and it was more like Latin. So it's like a combination of Portuguese, I believe, and I was hearing like Portuguese and like a Latin type of language was flowing through me. And so each time when it happens to me, I'm not conscious of it. It just comes out just the way it is supposed to. So as we are here today, and we are here gathered for all who's listening, and for all who listens to this, whether now or afterwards, that this is a new timeline that has come forth, from the beginning of time, and all of the consciousness that we have held on to is now not only dismantling, but it is just passing through us as the souls that we are. And every single being that is surrounded here, that we are in a circle right now. We're in a circle, and we're in a circle of love and light. And whatever has come out of us, whatever is passing through us, whatever is integrating with us, the shadow parts of ourselves, that we are not only understanding it, but we know where to place it. We know where to place it within ourselves, and just be just in an embracing moment with it, and knowing it, acknowledging it, and seeing it for what it is. And that we're able to, whether or not it's something to release, but it's something to integrate, that we see the shadow, we embrace the shadow, we acknowledge the shadow, and we know now that whatever we see in front of our eyes, and what we're hearing and feeling, that shadow parts of ourselves that shows up, whether as the feminine or the masculine, that it is now integrating, and that whatever has happened throughout humanity's history and lifetimes, that we're not only clearing it out, but we are just bringing on more peace within our hearts, and more love, and more love, and more love, and more peace, and living authentically, that the masks that have come off of us, that we're now free to be ourselves, that we're now free to love and to be in love with who we choose to be in love with, that we're living out our truths, we're speaking our truths, we're honoring ourselves and honoring each other. We're seeing each other from all eyes and all perspectives, and knowing that everything and all things is God. When we understand and remember that all things and everything is God, then we're able to be in greater peace and higher wisdom. So I'm thankful for this day, and I'm thankful for each and every soul that is on here, for those who are working within themselves and just on their path of joy and wisdom, and that we're just moving through all these energies and what is shifting with us, and shifting and shifting and shifting, and that we're able to come together, whether now and coming up in the next few days again, and whether we separate from one another, that's okay as well. Sometimes separation is necessary, and we'll understand that, and knowing that no matter what is happening, that it's still love that's flowing through each and every soul, and what part we play with one another. Ira matsakoro mishiketara beketoro koshemeketa shakoi belarmiande no kuri belantene ketoro kochipeketa siketara beketoro mikishara beketara koshepeketara beketara beketoro patarapa. Ira me no wiketoro sebekesala kete shiketara mikitana mi apiktu mi namtan chara kotsoko chipeketara miketana mi toro ir para pataraba. Isala mekeno koshemeketa shakatani kitana mikitara koshemeketa shikitana mikitara koshemeketa kesako chipeketa para chikoba. Ia mi ketori bekana mi anteri kitana petsara katar shikito kon mira kana kisala metekara kote shikerba. Ia meketana mikitana yitu mira kana mikitara and just take a deep breath and just blow out anything that you feel that you have been feeling and carrying in your heart and soul, and knowing that we are releasing, we're releasing, and we're releasing, and we're releasing, and we're shifting, and we're shifting, and we're shifting. I am so grateful and honored to be with you here. I am thankful for the divine and allowing Facebook to continue past the hour. No matter what, you see, that's the power that we have as one body of people in this Christ consciousness. You see, it's not having power over one another, but power together. That's what stands in unity. That even if you don't understand something, ask, seek to know. That is divine wisdom. Because if you allow yourself to go below that seeking, and not allowing the intelligence to flow, because God is intelligence, then you become ignorant, you see. And that ignorant energy is what's leaving the planet, because of people who didn't understand what the divine feminine means. They didn't understand what the divine masculine means. They didn't remember what sacred relationships are about. They didn't remember what sacredness is in terms of sexuality. It's all these different things that are shifting on the planet. And it's important to understand the true meaning of this Christ consciousness. It's a consciousness. It's a consciousness. So I leave you in peace and love until we come together again. Namaste, beautiful souls. Love you.